Welcome guys to the next episode of Mouse Modding 101. Today I'm going to show you how to swap your switches. Obviously there are tools like a desolder sucker or a desolder gun to make the process easier, but I want to show you how to do it without any additional accessories. Okay guys, for today's video you obviously need a mouse you want to use to swap the switches. You need a soldering wire, tools to open the mouse, a soldering iron. This handy tool can help, but you don't need it necessarily. And you want to use safety goggles and a fan to blow away the toxic dust and smoke from the soldering wire. And obviously you also need your new clicks or switches. Alright, let's get started. First we obviously need to remove the mouse feet to get into the mouse. Right here you see I need to remove the front two ones, and there's another screw, so removing those two should be fine. You could try to make it in a way that you can reuse them. Would even work better if you would use a hair dryer or a heat pistol, so the adhesive gets soft and you can easily remove it. But just being careful about it and don't just straight ripping it off also works in most cases. Okay, there we go. Now we need to remove the PCB to be able to desolder the switches, because the part where we want to desolder them is underneath the PCB, so we just need to get it out. This is how it looks from underneath, and this is how it looks from the top. And we basically just want to desolder those 3 pins for the first click and those 3 pins for the second click. Now we're gonna get to the soldering part. For the most of the times I use around 320 to 380 degrees because it's hot enough but should not damage your PCB too easily. You can see it's going up. It's probably the wrong way around. There, 300. Raise it to 320, should be fine. All you now need to do is to heat the soldered pin till the solder is fluid. Then you proceed to carefully push the switch away from the PCB using a screwdriver or by pulling it with your fingers. If you decide to do the second method, be aware that the switch could be hot. There we go, that's the first one. Now you just need to repeat the same process for the second switch. There's the PCB from underneath. As you can see, it's not as clean as if you would do it with a desoldering tool, but I wanted to show a method that's working for everyone, and for sure it's way better for your desoldering, if you use a desoldering tool. But this worked for everyone, you don't need any additional accessories, and I'm gonna link a video on how to do it with a desoldering tool in the description. But this is basically how you remove the switches if you don't have a desoldering tool. And from here on, it's just smooth sailing. We're just gonna put the new ones in. Make sure that you put them in the right direction, because obviously the switch is right here and you want it to work, so it's a difference if you put them in this way or this way. Yeah, right now you just need to find a way how you can put the switch in straight so it touches the PCB and is like in there completely. Make sure that you like put it on as flat as possible. Then you're just gonna, I personally solder the first one, like the middle one first. So now you can check if it's, now you can check if it's flat. As you can see from both sides, it's flat there. So I can now just continue to solder the other two without hassle. Some of you might have maybe just soldered a keyboard already. This is basically the same. You just like put it on the pin and the pad, wait till it's hot enough, add some soldering wire and do a cone onto the pin. Same thing here. Try to not inhale the what's the name of it? The smoke of the soldering wire, because that's quite toxic. And there you can see some nice cones on the PCB. I'm gonna repeat the same with the switch from the left click. I like to put the wire around my finger so I can just like go close with it and I don't need to focus on holding it. Might just be me. So we put in the other switch. Make sure we get the first one right. What you can also do to make sure you put it on 100% straight is to place it somewhere where it can stand. You put on the solder on the middle pin. And after you put on the solder, this should be already flat, and if it's not, you can just, because you only soldered the middle pin, you can just press with your thumb against it, reheat it real quick, really flatten it, let it dry again, and you have a perfectly flat click on it. And then you just need to add the solder to the two other pins again. Now you can see both clicks are in there. They should be working. We have perfect cones on the bottom, and we did this without any additional tools. And now all you need to do is obviously put the PCB back into the case. Make sure that if you removed the scroll wheel earlier to make it easier to put in the switches, make sure that you put it in again before you mount the PCB, because otherwise we'll have problems. Make sure it works fine. If it does, we can proceed to tighten the other screws on the PCB. It's working, so just mount the top shell. You probably know by now how that works, since you obviously disassembled it. Gonna mount the top two screws. We can reapply the removed mouse gates because we removed them carefully, so they should still be usable. Put them back on there. And now you have a mouse with modded clicks. They feel way more clicky than the mushy runs. You could still like keep them if you need a replacement at some point, but normally I just put them in the trash because the runs are really, really bad. Yeah, this is how you modded the mouse 1 and mouse 2. Obviously you could also mod the side switches and the mouse button, but for me, since I mostly use those two, most of the times I just replace those.
Hopefully you did learn something during the video. If you liked the video, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Also check out my Twitter and my Twitch where I stream now and then. Thank you guys and see you soon.